All right, good evening, guys. Ken and Luke at Tortoise Capital. This is the Creativity 202 check-in for my happy birthday day, September 5th, 2023, 66 years old. Boy, two-thirds of the way to the centenary, to the centennial. Oh, felt pretty good on the treadmill. My brother and I went to Planet Fitness after my did my check-in with my cardiologist. All systems go. We just BS'd around for about 5 minutes, and he said, "Yeah, see you in 3 months."
Yeah.
And I get final release tomorrow for starting to work out from the actual surgeon who's going to take a look at the incision and then set up some protocols about physical therapy of when I can start lifting and doing all that stuff. But everything's on track for full recovery. My energy levels off the chart, much better. We walked to over the weekend down to the soccer stadium. It's about a mile and a half walk and then up a bunch of stairs. And had no shortness of breath and a lot of energy, so I was really pleased to. I'm actually in better shape now than I was, before the heart attack. So it's not surprising. The, the the lucky thing was there was no blockage, so
Yeah.
uh, so it was just a bad valve that was inefficient. Now that that's fixed, I'm getting all kinds of blood circulated, so it's actually very helpful. Well, sir, that's my check-in. How are things going down under? And then go ahead and jump into whatever you got for us today.
Yep. Going much better this week. Got rid of the cough, been with some heavy drugs. So just still trading the DAX and trading. I'll go through some of my trades from last week on the Aussie dollar. And other than that, just getting ready for some of the warmer months, which would be nice because it's been pretty freezing. So I'll just give me a second. I'm just going to take a screenshot of this screen. Then I can share the screen. This week was less than 25. I didn't do this last time. Fail safe planning. So on this one, I found this was a really good lesson for me at the moment because I've been getting the system parameters and basically creating the DAX system from scratch. How I would explain it to someone to actually trade it.
Yeah.
And I went through Banthart's book on how to design a winning trading system, just to get a bit of background, but not make it too overly complex. And I saw his interview with you back in '99 on systems when you went to the workshop. And one of the questions he asked you was basically around planning for the worst case scenario and how you will know when you've reached it and what you need to analyze and put in place to make sure you can get back in the game and make sure you're still in the game. So that was interesting. And that's what I've been focusing on in terms of the DAX system. In terms of this lesson and partnering logic and creativity together in terms of what Fletcher was talking about, what I found there was what I've been doing on the Aussie dollar is separating logic and creativity. And what you had on the graphic was working out when we're in a super pinch on all timeframes, RL 90, 270, 10 and 30 all meet together within a risk box. And my my trading in the last couple of weeks in terms of the Aussie dollar is looking at a higher time frame of 5 minutes. Not that that's an extremely high time frame for hybrid trading, but for day trading, if you look at the 5 minute for your bias and for your initial entry, and then when they get to a pinch level on a 1 or 2 minute time frame, and it looks like it could be doing coming out of the Red River, looking for an SSC on a lower time frame. But what I'm actually waiting for that to do is for that to fail, to do a collapsing dragon, to do a second position. And then when that happens, zooming in on a lower time frame to employ the sniper to actually get it out at a take profit level that might be at a lower of the day from the previous day. Might just be at a certain level and just say, just take profit. And then looking for zooming back to the scout and looking for a 5 minute piece upward on that time frame. And then when that's entered, going long again in this scenario. And then when a second position is entered, if it gets to that point, a lower time frame, really employing the sniper. Here's an example on the left-hand side of a trade I did. I think it was Thursday or Friday. I can't remember what it was. And I need you to know that the dollars at risk on this are really low. So I'm not basically trading this at probably 1/10 to one, probably 20% of my execution risk that I would be trading for. And so looking at this entry here on a 5 minute chart, looking for a PSAR flip, and then zooming in on a 1 minute chart when there's a bit of a RL10 wiggle and putting in a second position and then getting out at a take profit. And I remember this part, it was a huge volume, massive price reduction, and just getting it out at that point. Then I just had a low risk idea that was potentially the low of the day because we were entering into London, putting in a risk box at the low of the day and entering, and then waiting for 1 or 2 minute chart to present a second entry, and then coming back to where this emerging dragon is on the 5 minutes, and then just getting it based on that level. Now, there you go.
Yeah, that one shows, a couple things. The second entry on the short is also, notice how that's also below the, the PSAR flip and the RL30 belly. And it's like the shelf just broke and it's a collapse. And then on the reversal, the first entry long is really a 1, 2, 3 entry. It's after the R10 bottomed out and is starting to move up. And then the second entry is almost, 2 MMRBs off the bottom. And it's after that, you can almost, on the 5, you can almost see a Kata 2 style where it had a short sell off that never got back to your original entry and then it continued. So you're actually getting 2 positions in before the actual formal PSAR flip happens. And that's, I think, a really good use of a combination of the shorter time frame, but also the manageable risk box idea that sometimes you can go off of those instead of waiting for the confirmation of the MMRB.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when I mark up these charts on a 5 minute, I look at it and I might think, oh, it's a bit adventurous, but in actual fact, it's getting in early and you can actually narrate the story for the person who's trading on the 5 minute. Well, as you said, RL10 bottoming out and looking for a second position and not waiting for the PSAR to flip as I would normally do, getting out at a take profit level when it's sort of stalling. RL10's coming over, hitting the RL30. So in terms of that, that's a very different style of trading than what I was doing before, which is fun. it's just different.
You know, I was watching in the World Championship track and field stuff that was being held down in your area. I was watching a lot of the relays, and think about that trade as just a relay race. You know, you got and then the handoff of the baton at the end of one leg, and then the reversal at the corner to go the other leg. And you just want to make that handoff. You don't drop the baton in your haste. Make a deliberate baton pass within the region, and then let the runner run. You know, and it feels when it's when the reversal is that sharp and that powerful, it's you can almost feel it that way. Like a relay race. So
Yeah,
interesting look there.
yeah. And I think the next thing I worked on for this lesson was I can't believe you talked about golf when you answered that question, Ben. You were talking about golf in terms of systems and systems being like a golf club. And if there was one thing I'd want to go back in time and work on with my golf is to actually do that, start from putter, going all the way up to the driver, because short game is so much the most important part of golf that most people who are teenagers would prefer to be big hitters to show off to their mates. So, in terms of systems, analysing that in terms of how you drive, how you putt, um, your short irons, your mid irons, long irons, chipping, pitching, and then in terms of that, how you actually review those systems in these key performance areas of how many fairways you actually hit in regulation, what your driving distance is on average, and if all these are in place, then what you're aiming for is the lowest score on average. And if you're focusing on these, and if one of these aren't working very well, then you have to work out how you can actually reduce the scoring in that sort of area. So the correlation for me anyway, between trading and golf is huge. But that's only because I know golf so well that I can actually transfer that mental approach and systematic approach and review from one to the other, which is really essential for me. Probably the other thing I have been working on the DAC system, and I know this is just a screenshot from my Excel. I've been going through working out what the easy trades are in terms of just getting to a take profit of 40 points straight away, and then working out what the harder trades are. It might be that there's 2 or 3 positions during that one day, and one might be a loss of 0.5, and then I have to make up to get plus 0.5, and then to make 1 on the second trade. So just trying to work out the rules based on that, make them as simple as possible, work through the system on that. And yeah, just getting them all marked up so I can explain the system a lot easier. And that's basically for me this week.
Yeah, I really like that that visual representation. It just in one chart you're just basically showing how you go from the individual trades to the daily aggregate in a
Right.
in a in a nice easy way. Yeah, and the golf analogy is really crucial. You know, the good guys, the pros, never double bogey. They just don't make mistakes. You know, they they're doing exactly the things that you're talking about there. And then I also think that visual of the pinch and stretch from the RLFF, that has so much information in one chart that just, I mean, I still remember the day that just kind of jumped into my head, and then telling the story of those things. That's just the life cycle of the whole trade, from super pinch
Mm.
to maximum excursions and divergence, to the step by step process of getting back towards the super pinch, you know, and how you get those momentary critical states along the way. Being able to identify a critical state at a glance, the temporary convergence,
Mm.
almost like a staff call, and then moving out again. So there's a certain pulse and rhythm to all that stuff. It's just that's just so good. Yeah, and then I like the framing the Z3 super pinch and how all those other factors shape up to let you know you're at a critical state intraday. Once you've framed out the low of the day plus a range stat, the high of the day minus a range stat to give you the range of normal, and then how price is behaving inside that, you can see how things are coming together for a critical moment of resolution, and something is going to happen. And it's like I can hear it like a pin drop, or this cracking of the ice in the spring, or when the floor breaks, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, good work here on all this stuff. We'll get this, keep refining it. We want to get this into a technical course as soon as we can. Bill Scheit's putting one together for the longer term stuff, the way he's done the applied core and sort of the blended monthly rebalancing adaptations. So I'm looking forward to getting this one added in on the shorter end of the time frame. So everything's looking good, brother. You
Okay.
take, and I'm gonna release this and get back to work. And we got about an hour till the regular podcast, so I can knock out a few charts.
Yep.
So
Not a worry.
say hi and love to the family for us, and
Yep.
keep taking good care down there. Okay.
Will do. Thanks, man.
Yep. Ciao.
Bye bye.